July 10th, 2024. A London flat, 2 men inside, laughing just moments earlier. But then, something snaps. Yost Andres Moscera pulls out a knife and attacks. He stabs Albert 15 times, mostly in the chest and neck. But here's what froze investigators. He filmed the entire thing on his phone. In the video, Yost looks at Albert's bleeding body and says, "Do you like it?" No flinch, no panic, just cold, calculated murder. That haunting sentence, "Do you like it?" would later echo through a shocked courtroom, because what came next was even darker. This wasn't just a killing, it was a performance, from a former adult film actor turned psychopath. And the truth behind it all would unravel one of the most disturbing murder cases Britain has ever seen. This is the case of Yost Andres Moscera, and it's more horrifying than anyone could have imagined. It started in the quiet streets of Shepherd's Bush, West London. A peaceful neighborhood, families, retirees, small flats lined up in rows. And inside one of those flats lived Albert Alfonso, 62, and Paul Longworth, 71. Albert was a gentle swimming coach, known for helping kids, seniors, and even patients with injuries. Paul was a retired repairman, someone who fixed everything with care and patience. They were a couple. They'd signed a civil contract in early 2023. Their relationship? Stable, mature, and deeply respectful. Neighbors knew them as warm and quiet. Nothing about their lives suggested the chaos that was about to come. Albert, despite his calm personality, used social media and gay dating apps. He liked helping people, especially young men, struggling to settle in the UK. That's how he met Yost Andres Moscera, a 35-year-old from Colombia. Yost had acted in adult films. He had no steady income, no clear job, and no fixed home. Albert saw someone who needed help. He invited Yost to stay at his apartment for a few days, just until he got back on his feet. But days turned into weeks, then months. Paul, Albert's partner, didn't like it. He found Yost cold, distant, and suspicious. Yost didn't just sleep on the couch anymore. He moved around the house like he owned it. He went through mail, snooped on devices, and even asked about bank accounts. He told Albert he needed a place. Albert listened, but in secret, Yost was searching online for terrifying things. How to dismember a body. How long does it take to die from bleeding? Serial killers in London. He was also keeping a personal diary. In it, obsessive thoughts, quotes from killers, and one chilling line. "They will never wake up again. The room will be quiet forever." He even bought a giant freezer, the kind that could hold an adult human body. Albert and Paul had no idea what was coming. July 8th, 2024. Albert and Yost were in the bedroom. Albert thought it was another night of intimacy, something routine by now. But under the pillow, Yost had hidden a long knife. At the height of the act, he pulled it out and stabbed Albert 15 times, mostly in the chest and neck. But here's what made it even worse. He filmed the entire thing on his phone. And in the video, with a chilling calm, Yost looks at Albert and asks, "Do you like it?" Not a flinch, not a tear, just cold murder. That sentence, "Do you like it?" would later haunt the courtroom. Paul, in the next room, heard the screams. He rushed in, confused, terrified, yelling. But Yost was ready. He had hidden a hammer under the bed. Before Paul could run or react, Yost smashed it into his skull, twice. Paul died instantly. Now, both men were dead. And Yost, he didn't panic. He went to the kitchen, opened the freezer, and started cutting. The scene was brutal. Yost used kitchen knives and tools to chop up the bodies. He placed the parts into plastic bags, some into the freezer, some into 2 large suitcases, one red, one gray. He kept Paul's head and torso frozen. Albert's parts were partially wrapped. He even cleaned the flat, wrote more in his diary, and waited for the right time to dump the evidence. He would later call it necessary. July 10th, 2024, 11 p.m. CCTV captures a lone man dragging 2 large suitcases across the Clifton Suspension Bridge in Bristol. It's dark, it's silent, he's not running. He stops midway, sits down, and casually places the suitcases next to the railing. Then he wipes the sides, where blood had started to seep out. Before leaving, he enters the nearby bathroom as if marking territory. Then he disappears. No one stopped him. 1 hour later, a cyclist passed by. He saw the red suitcase and noticed a strong smell. It wasn't just bad. It was rotten flesh. He called the police immediately. When the officers opened the bags, what they saw was unlike anything they'd seen before. Human arms, torsos, a scalp, still frozen, still packaged, still horrifying. The UK was about to face one of its most gruesome true crime stories in modern history. But this was only the beginning. Who was Yost Andres Moscera? Why did he do it? And what did police find in the freezer back in Shepherd's Bush? After the suitcases were found, police began working fast. CCTV footage gave them their first real clue. A man with a stocky build, wearing a long black trench coat, dragging the red and gray suitcases. At first, no one knew who he was, but forensic experts swabbed the suitcases. DNA results came back. They matched Albert Alfonso and Paul Longworth. And one fingerprint belonged to Yost Andres Moscera. Now the manhunt was on. Detectives rushed to the shared flat in Shepherd's Bush. What they found was deeply disturbing. A deep freezer in the living room, still plugged in. Inside, a human head, carefully wrapped in towels. Blood splatters on the carpet, bedroom walls, and under the bathroom sink. A hammer and a large kitchen knife in the trash. Plastic gloves, used towels, and homemade bleach sprays. But the most terrifying find? A handwritten diary belonging to Yost. The diary gave investigators a chilling look inside Yost's mind. Here are just a few entries. They think I'm weak, but I'm smarter than all of them. The freezer is ready, the plan is real, no turning back. Blood is quiet when frozen. There were also drawings of human limbs, freezer diagrams, and a strange tally list, possibly his attempt to count steps in his plan. Even more disturbing, he filmed parts of the murders on his phone. One video showed Albert, already bleeding, being asked by Yost, "Do you want to live or die?" It was pure evil. Just 2 days after the suitcases were found, police tracked Yost down in Bristol. He was walking calmly near a shopping mall. No disguise, no fake ID, no sense of guilt. When officers surrounded him, he said just one thing: "You took long enough." He didn't resist. He didn't run. He smiled. At the station, detectives asked Yost one question: "Why did you do it?" His reply? "I was tired of pretending, tired of their rules, tired of being poor." He then asked for water, crossed his legs, and told investigators, "They were just holding me back. I wanted freedom." When pressed further, he denied feeling any remorse. He said, "They used me. I used them back." Officers later said they'd never interviewed someone so cold, so calculating, and so calm. Once Yost's devices were unlocked, investigators discovered Google searches on how to dismember a body, forums discussing serial killers and freezing techniques, encrypted chats with strangers discussing dark fantasies, multiple profiles on adult websites using different names. He even posted on forums hours after the murder, writing, "Silence is louder when it's earned." There was also a private video collection. Many showed violence, staged acts, and disturbing reenactments. Police knew then they weren't just dealing with a spontaneous killer. They were dealing with someone who had planned this for months. Yost was sent for psychiatric testing. Doctors found that he was not psychotic, he knew right from wrong, but he had antisocial personality traits and grandiose narcissism. He lacked empathy, remorse, regret. One doctor said, he sees people as tools. Once they're no longer useful, he discards them. Yost also admitted to fantasizing about fame through murder. He believed his story would make headlines. Sadly, he was right. While the media focused on Yost, the families of Albert and Paul were left shattered. Albert's brother gave a heartbreaking statement. He was a giver. He gave too much. He trusted the wrong person. Paul's niece described him as the kindest soul. The uncle who fixed everything, he didn't deserve this. At a candlelight vigil, neighbors cried and laid flowers. They remembered Albert teaching children to swim, Paul fixing broken heaters in winter for free. These weren't just victims. They were real people with full lives. The case made national headlines. The freezer killer. Red suitcase horror. Adult actor turns serial murderer. People across the UK were terrified. Many asked, how could this happen in a quiet West London flat? Why did no one see the signs? Could this happen again? The LGBT community in London held protests demanding safer housing protections, background checks on live-in guests, and more attention to rising violence against queer couples. The fear was real. So was the anger. The horror of what Yost did will never be forgotten. But the story isn't over yet. Now the world turned its eyes to the trial, and what unfolded in the courtroom was just as disturbing as the crime itself. In January 2025, Yost Andres Moscera appeared at the Old Bailey in London. He wore a grey jumper, calm, composed, almost bored. The courtroom was filled with journalists, detectives, family members, and curious members of the public. But Yost, he just sat there, no emotion, no guilt. The prosecutor laid out the evidence. 2 brutally murdered men, a frozen head in a London flat, suitcases of body parts dumped on a bridge, a killer's diary full of violent fantasies, videos of the crime recorded by the murderer himself. There was no doubt Yost had done it, but the question was why? Yost's defense team shocked everyone. They did not plead insanity. They did not claim accident. Instead, they said Yost acted in self-defense. They claimed Albert had become controlling, that Paul had tried to attack him, that the violence was a response to mental pressure. But then the prosecution played the murder video. In silence, the court watched as Yost calmly stabbed Albert over 15 times and said, "Do you like it?" There was no struggle, no panic, just cold-blooded killing. The defense had nothing more to say. The first to speak was Albert's younger brother. He described Albert as a gentle man who trusted too easily, who saw the good in people even when there was none. Then came Paul's niece, who broke down while talking. She said, Paul was quiet, kind, he fixed everything, plumbing, wiring, hearts. Yost destroyed everything in one night. The final impact statement came from a neighbor who often chatted with the couple in the garden. They never raised their voices, never complained. They were happy. They didn't deserve this ending. The jury was shown the CCTV footage from Clifton's Suspension Bridge, the contents of Yost's diary, Google search history, how to get rid of a body, bleach bloodstains, serial killers who used freezers, the footage of Yost cleaning the apartment, calmly wiping down blood, and most horrifying, a photo of Albert's body, mid-dismemberment, taken by Yost himself. Even hardened officers turned away. Yost, once again, didn't react. For the first time, Yost took the stand. He smiled at the jury, then said, "I don't regret what I did. They lied to me, used me. I returned the favor." He said he wanted peace. He called his victims burdens. He blamed them for not letting him live free. The judge interrupted. "Mr. Moscera, are you saying you had no choice?" Yost replied, "I'm saying I made the right one." Gasps echoed in the courtroom. Even his own lawyer looked stunned. It took the jury just 3 hours to reach a verdict. Guilty. Guilty of a double homicide, desecration of corpses, obstruction of justice. The judge's words were sharp. "You are a danger to society. You acted not out of fear but pleasure. You filmed suffering. You froze heads. You are not just guilty, you are monstrous." Then came the sentence: life imprisonment, without the possibility of parole. Outside the courtroom, Albert and Paul's families embraced. Tears, relief, and sorrow that justice can never undo the pain. The case triggered major discussions across the UK. Should live-in guests require registration? Should dating app vetting be stricter? Should the mentally unstable have free access to digital privacy? LGBTQ+ communities called for better protections. Grief counselors were deployed across Shepherd's Bush, and the bridge where the suitcases were dumped. It's now lined with flowers and candles, a silent vigil for 2 innocent men. Today, Yost is serving his sentence at HM Prison Belmarsh, one of the UK's highest security facilities. Reports say he doesn't interact much, he refuses therapy, he spends hours writing in new notebooks, content unknown. One guard reportedly heard him whisper, "I'll be remembered longer than they lived." The red suitcase, the diary, the video, the freezer, all pieces of a real-life nightmare. But this case is not just about horror, it's a warning about blind trust, online strangers, and the evil that hides behind charm. They were just 2 men living quietly. Albert and Paul were kind, ordinary, trusting, and in their final moments, they faced someone who believed silence was power. But today, we speak their names, we remember their story, and we make sure their silence doesn't win. Thank you for watching this documentary on the Untold archive. Like, share, subscribe. Because some stories must be told, no matter how dark they are.